Hey folks, it's RBB. Somebody said they absolutely could not learn Illustrator, and I said, I'll bet I could teach you how to use Illustrator in 5 minutes or less. So hold my stylus. Before we jump into Illustrator and my timer starts, I want to make sure that you understand what is the difference in Photoshop and Illustrator. In Photoshop, which we're used to, when we draw something, remember that we're dropping instances along a line. So my circular brush is actually dropping boop, 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 circular instances, which make it look like we're drawing a line. Each one of these big dots is actually made up of individual pixels. Okay, if I have a bigger dot, it either has larger pixels or it has more pixels. Okay, that's it. The more resolution we want, the more pixels there are, the more pixels, the higher the resolution, and generally the smoother and better that image looks. Okay, if we were doing vectors, that same image that we just had, these are not brushes drawing shapes. It is a mathematical path. These are 360-degree paths that are filled in with a fill. When we draw a 360-degree path, that path can have a stroke, which is the outline, and or a fill, which is the interior color. It is math-based. It is 360 degrees, no matter how big or small it is. Math is math. 360 degrees is 360 degrees. So instead of drawing a spot that is full of a bunch of little pixels, we are creating a circular path, 360 degrees, and filling it in with yellow, pink, blue, etc. Okay? We can choose to or not choose to have a stroke or outline around it. Okay, moving on. In Illustrator, the only two things we can do, and the only two things you can do anywhere, when you are moving and you're creating a path, you either are going straight or you're curving. That's it. I don't care if you're drawing, driving, walking, whatever you're doing, you either are going straight or you're curving. And if you say, no, I can go straight and then curve, of course you can. You've hit an anchor, okay? You've hit a corner and then chosen to make a curved path. So I can go straight, I can turn right, and then I can curve around something, okay? I can only make straight paths or curved paths. And in Illustrator, we are only setting up the anchors, saying from this point, you're either going to go straight or you're going to curve. Okay, these two anchors, it is an anchor point or a corner point or a Bezier curve. The anchor point tells us we're going straight. The Bezier curve tells us we're curving. Okay, anchor, Bezier point. Remember that you are not drawing the lines. We are simply saying, like directions, start here, go 20 feet in a straight line. Okay, so start here, stop there. That is our vector. It's like the bad guy in Despicable Me. Remember him? It's a mathematical term, meaning a path with both direction and magnitude, because I'm committing crimes with both direction and magnitude. Oh, yeah! Exactly, okay? A direction and a magnitude, the distance, straight line or curved, okay? We are not creating the line, we are creating the path. This is an example. This is a raster pizza. You can see it's made up of pixels, lots of gradients, far more detailed. Vector art tends to look like this. It is shapes, and each of those shapes either does or does not have a stroke, like the outline, and or the fill. Here's a circular path with a fill and no stroke. Here's a circular path with a stroke and a fill. Got it? No rasters and vectors? Okay, let's turn on Illustrator. Boom, here we go in Illustrator. Now I opened an 8.5 by 11 document. Size really doesn't matter because remember it's math, 360 degrees, and any size is still a circle. So I just opened an 8.5 by 11 just for practice, and we're gonna get started and go. 5 minutes starts now. You only need to know these first three tools and you will know how to do everything in Illustrator, okay? This is the pen tool right here. The pen tool is going to make our anchors for us. We only need these three. This is the pen tool, this is the direct selection tool, and this is the selection tool, okay? If you can master those, you can do everything. Everything else in Illustrator is just making this stuff easier and smoother. Okay, so do what I do. I'm going to click. All I did is left click and I've got this spider web hanging out. That spider web is saying, hey, how far and in which direction do you want me to go to my next anchor? Okay, so I'm going to hit Control Z. Do that with me. So click, okay, spider web, Control Z. Now I want you to do it 3 times. Click, move somewhere, doesn't matter where, click, make a new anchor. Move somewhere else, click, make a new anchor, click somewhere else, make a new anchor. To stop making a path, you simply hit Enter. To finish a shape, we either need to hit Enter to tell it to stop making anchor points, or we need to come back to our original spot and it will close that shape for us. Boom, straight lines, okay? So to make a curve, this is going to blow your mind. I'm going to go a little slower. Here we click, 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 click. Okay, we did that. To make a curve, we are going to click and drag out little handles. Let go of your mouse. Okay, spider web. Move somewhere else. Click and drag. It doesn't matter what direction. Move somewhere else. Click and drag. You're going to pull out these little handles. Click and drag. Click and drag. When I'm done making a mark, I hit enter. Now what confuses people is that you want to draw a line and you're making these big crazy handles. Don't do that. You're simply marking the endpoints as a curve. Endpoint, come down here, curve. Come up here, curve. Come down here, curve. Okay, and again, either finish up my shape or hit return. That is it. That is all you can do. To draw everything in the whole world is either a straight line or a curve. I'm going to hit Control A and delete all of this to show you. I want you to do this with me. I want you to do this exercise. I want you to create an uppy downy mountains like this. Click at the top, click at the bottom, click at the top, click at the bottom. Boop. Okay. When you are comfortable doing that, I want you to click and drag, 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 click and drag. Okay, remember, you are not drawing a line. You are creating this curve, this curve, this curve, and this curve. When you're done with that, I want you to click, click and drag, click, click and drag. If you can click and drag at will and control yourself, you can draw absolutely anything in Illustrator. Now, these things are called objects. This path has completed an object. My black arrow will select my object. I can move it anywhere that I want to. Okay, that object has a stroke and a fill. The stroke, I can click right here and change the color of my stroke. The fill is filling in. Okay, and unlike Photoshop, it doesn't have to be a complete shape. It's going to fill in from beginning to end. Okay, so stroke and fill. Just to show you, you can do whatever you want to. I can click and drag, click, click and drag, okay? Click, and I've made a heart. Lovely. I want to change it. I'm going to grab my black arrow to grab this object. I'm going to change its stroke to black. I'm going to change its fill to red. And this white arrow is super awesome. That lets us grab individual anchors. Like maybe I don't like that anchor. I'm going to click on that anchor and increase the size. Okay, or I can click on this point and I can move it. Okay. The other two things that are underneath the pen tool are the convert tool, which is if it's a curve, I can click on that anchor and make it a point. If it's a point, I can click and drag and make it a curve. It's just going to convert one to the other. Those are my only two choices. Can convert those. Okay, and then these guys are going to add an anchor somewhere along our path and take away an anchor somewhere along our path. That's it. Everything else here just makes what we did smoother and easier. Boom. Not exactly sure, but I know that was under 5 minutes. I promise you, if you practice making these paths, if you practice grabbing it with the black arrow, changing the stroke and the fill, practice with the white arrow, moving individual anchors around, there is nothing you cannot draw in Illustrator. Once you got that mastered, move on and figure out what all these other cool tools do. All right. You're awesome. Have fun. Be well.